Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes is the best version of a Fire Emblem game to date. Hyperbole? Yes. Heresy? Maybe. But for me, it's true and I will die on that hill. Now, why is this the case? 3 Hopes is just a musou game reskinned to pander to the Fire Emblem fanbase. A bone thrown to the most dedicated while they wait for their next entry in the mainline series. Right? Right? Wrong. 3 Hopes takes everything that makes Fire Emblem and makes it better. Battles feel more tactical and immersive. Social links have been trimmed and streamlined, and the story pacing and world building is leagues better than 3 Houses. Imagine plodding through 30 plus hours of a game waiting for the story to kick off. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. I'm calling it right now. This game is going to fly under the radar for a lot of people, either because they don't gel with Fire Emblem systems, or they think they don't like musou games. But you know what? They're missing out, because this one's a banger all the way through. 3 Hopes is, hands down, my favorite Fire Emblem game. Let's start with story. Story has never been a strong point of musou games. It basically serves as a vehicle, moving you from one battlefield to the next, so you can continue living out your power fantasy of mowing through guns with complete and total impunity. But here in the non-canon spin-off, not only do we have more story than I was expecting, quite a bit more, but the story and writing are actually good, way better than they have any right to be. In essence, 3 Hopes is an alternate timeline version of 3 Houses, following many of the main game's themes and story beats, but with a what-if divergent twist. You're a mercenary, you get your ass kicked by the previous MC, and you team up with Casper the Friendly Ghost to help your faction bring peace to Fodlan. It's not revolutionary or wildly different from the original, but it didn't need to be. All it had to do was build off the foundation set by 3 Houses, and this game nails it. This isn't just some quickly thrown together fanfiction. You can tell by the quality of the writing, structure, and pacing that a lot of thought and effort was put into building this out. It's surprisingly well done, especially for a Warriors game. I want to talk a bit about world building. The storytelling in 3 Hopes does an exceptional job at giving us a better understanding of the wider world of Fodlan and the different power players in it. In 3 Houses, it was hard to get a sense of who the different lords were, where they were located, and the unique political dynamics each had to contend with. For the most part, they were faceless background actors that didn't really matter. They'd be used to give flavor to the main cast, fleshing out their stories and backgrounds, or used as plot devices when needed by the story. At no point did they feel like real people, since we never saw them and only ever learned of them through other characters. But 3 Hopes changes that by giving faces and bodies to many of the lords, dedicating screen time, dialogue, and sometimes their own social links to give players a better sense of who they are, what they want, their relationships with the cast, and the greater role they play in Fodlan's convoluted history. Their inclusion was a great choice, even if it inflates the already huge cast list, because now we have a lens into the deeper historical, geographical, and political landscapes that underpin all of the conflict central to the story. When you pair that with being able to traverse across different regions of the map, yes, this god-awful map that no one can read or make sense of, we get a richer understanding of the world in its entirety. We now have a better sense of where historical events took place, the locations of lands in relationship to each other, and how militaries are being strategically maneuvered throughout the campaigns. This was like the missing piece when it came to understanding the land of Fodlan. And finally, I feel like I know what the hell is going on. Battles in this game are more or less what you'd expect. 1 vs 1000? Check. Mowing through mobs mashing the attack button? Check. Retina burning super attacks? Yeah, that looked nice. The musou DNA is alive and well, but there are some tweaks to the musou formula that makes Three Hopes unique. First off, all officers on your team can gain experience in any battle they participate in, whether you personally take control of them or not. In previous Warriors games I've played, you only collect experience and items on the main character you play as. If an NPC officer wipes out an enemy commander, any experience or items dropped essentially gets flushed down the drain, creating a situation where players run back and forth all around the map carrying the battle as they do everything themselves. In Three Hopes, this is no longer the case. You can issue commands to your team and have them pull their own weight without worry because they will collect items, treasures, and experience without you micromanaging them. This is big good since it basically means less grinding. The only thing you're missing out on by not assuming direct control is ranking up a unit's combat arts, which gains experience on use. But that doesn't seem like a bad trade-off for people who want to tunnel in on their favorite characters. Also of note is the weapon triangle. It's back. Different units will be stronger or weaker against certain enemies depending on the weaponry they use. If you're going for that S rank reward, you'll want to check the battlefield to see what you'll be up against and bring units that counter the enemy composition. This is easily done by hovering over your units and looking for the blue and red icons dotting the map. Directing your team into unfavorable matchups will result in friendlies finding premature deaths, because yes, permadeath is a thing in this game if you enable it. Now, I may come under fire from FE purists by saying this, but I don't care. To me, the musou formula feels truer and closer to Fire Emblem thematically over the turn-based SRPG system the mainline games use. When I think about games that embody tactical military movements, that capture the fantasy of being a commander directing units on the battlefield, I think about Total War and SOCOM, not Fire Emblem. Turn-based SRPGs have trouble capturing both the scale and the ever-changing nature of the battlefield. When you and your opponent are moving, attacking, and reacting to each other in real time, battles feel more fluid and dynamic, more immersive, more real. By putting you on the front lines surrounded by your troops, Three Hopes hits closer to that feeling of leading and directing others in combat. This version I like it a lot. Even if the movesets and the maps begin to feel repetitive. There's so much more energy here that I feel has been missing from the franchise. And in my opinion, this is the way they should go when developing future titles. It is, quite frankly, so much better. When you aren't on the battlefield, you'll be spending time here, at the base camp. The monastery, while impressive for its size and scale, may have been a little too big for a hub. This base camp, however, is perfect. Functional, efficient, and compact, while still providing the player a sense of place and immersion. Here is where you'll do all of your social sim, team building, and training. All should be familiar as they were lifted straight out of Three Houses. One of my biggest gripes, I guess you could say, about Fire Emblem games is the systems. The stacks on stacks of systems that players have to juggle and micromanage so they can unlock the character moments and world-building elements of the game. Speaking for myself, I don't find constantly paging through menus and obsessive micromanagement to be fun. It's exhausting and boring and dulls the youthful twinkle in my eyes. Fortunately, Three Hopes has introduced some amazing quality of life features that will have players like me feeling refreshed, reinvigorated, and revitalized. Here's a big one. When you are doing any activity that involves you and two of your teammates, you get the social triangle. Oh my god. Why didn't we have this in Three Houses? Such a simple quality of life change that keeps me from having to constantly open up the goddamn support menu every time I want to have a meal. You want to talk about game changers? This is a game changer. This, by itself, has alleviated most of the dread I felt after seeing social ranks carried over into Three Hopes. Second, you can see your progress at each support level. For all of the progress bars we had in Three Houses, why didn't we have this one? Now I don't have to constantly second guess why the heart icon didn't show, because I can clearly see how close people are to ranking up. Plus, when you hit the max rank, the letter icon changes from blue to green. Another small touch that keeps you from second guessing yourself and going back into the menus. Again, big good. And third, catch-up mechanics. Is one of your teammates falling behind because you refuse to use them? No big. Go to the trainer, pay money, get jacked. Literal pay to win is a part of this game. Grind? What grind? I don't see no grind, no mo. There are so many of these small, little changes that makes the whole experience play so much better. It's as if they sat down and asked themselves, or someone like me, what do players find frustrating about our game systems? And instead of stubbornly sticking to their guns, they actually went and did something about it. Does every character pair need skits at every social rank? Is there a way to display the information better? What types of quality of life features can we include to streamline team management? Almost all of the social and team sim aspects have been enhanced, trimming away hours of bloat and fat while maintaining the essence of what players love most. Yes, 100% yes! With just these few adjustments to the FE formula, I'm already feeling a paradigm shift happening within me. There is absolutely no excuse for these not to be brought over into future games. And if they aren't, well, I simply won't be playing them. Close to the end of my first run in Three Hopes, I started wondering why I was gelling with this experience so much more than Three Houses. Looking back, I think it ultimately comes down to the game's pacing and overall flow. Now, let's take a minute to think about Three Houses. In lieu of calling it slow, I will say that it takes a very methodical pace. It maintains a constant middle-of-the-road type of energy. How I felt in combat and how I felt at the monastery, almost exactly the same, and that basically carries throughout the entire game. Three Hopes takes a very different approach, instead choosing to contrast the slower, more relaxed downtime at the camp with fast and frenetic fighting on the battlefield. This works incredibly well, as neither side overstays its welcome. Getting bored doing team management? Okay, jump in and run through some 7-minute skirmishes. Overstimulated from gotta go fast? Chill out, hang with your buds, and work on some upgrades. The constant shifting from high to low energy and back again keeps you from ever feeling settled or getting bored. You can appreciate both of them more for the variety they bring to the overall experience. There's a really good balance that's struck here, which is why I think this version of Fire Emblem feels so much better than the SRPG version. I love how this game feels and how this game plays. Less than a month ago, I finally finished Three Houses, and my takeaway was, I don't know if I can play this franchise anymore. Mainline Fire Emblem games have a way of making me feel boxed in and bogged down, drowning in a sea of systems, menus, and optimization. But Three Hopes' streamlined and fluid nature has me feeling uplifted and free. Like this version of Fire Emblem may be the one more suited for me. It's balanced and condensed. It's cut out the bloat that I think drags down the series and has replaced it with a thematically appropriate combat model, blended with tactical elements from its past entries. If this is the direction they continue to go, I'll be very excited about the future of this series, because to me, this is the best version of a Fire Emblem game to date.